Welcome back to another episode of Warren Cali. In this episode, I'm going to talk about 100 days, 100 nights. LA has always been known to be one of the most violent and gang-infested cities in the nation, and South Central LA being one of the most prominent in violence. Where early movies like Colors, Boys in the Hood, and Menace to Society, people start getting a perspective of what they thought gang culture was, and with many LA residents who was gang members expanding to other cities and states, gang members became everywhere. The gang culture at first didn't mean to be destructive or damage families or the communities. It started with youth wanting to protect the areas that they were from. And since that is still the purpose of today, with Crips and Bloods laying their lives on the line for the areas. But since the 70s when the Crips and Bloods formations were started, the purpose has left. Once Crip gangs were together, now most Crip sets are rivals, and the same with Bloods beefing with each other as well. Then you have sets like the Hoover criminals, who started off as their own thing, but later joined the Crips, but later dropped the Crip identity. With having multiple cliques claiming Hoover, the Five Deuce Hoovers were the only full Hoover hood that remained Crips, while the other Hoovers became criminals. But there's still a few members from other Hoover sets that still claim Crip, mostly the older generations because that's how they started off. Now the Hoovers' list of rivals are long, beefing with the whole neighborhood car, which includes many different Crip gangs from different areas. They also beef with other Crip sets like the Rolling 30s, the Main Street Crips, and Bloods like the Denver Lanes and the Brims. The Hoovers are a lot of gangs' top rival and have been for decades. Now the Rolling 100 Crips consist of multiple different sets that are clicked up, repping that area. And the Hoovers has been one of the 100's top ops, with the Hoovers having cliques going into the hundreds like 107 Hoover and 11 Deuce Hoover. This has made the Hoovers and the 100s clash for decades, being one of the first Crip on Crip rivalries. The 100s beef with other respectable gangs like the A-Tray Gangsters and the Inglewood Families, just to name a few. Both sides being highly active in the streets, the Hoovers and the Rolling 100 members will be dropped over and over for decades. But in this new generation of banging, social media has played a big part. I know a lot of old heads will be against the new generation of banging, with new generations posting and putting too much street business on social media. But that's the times we in. And in 2015, the streets business will be all over Instagram. On July 17th, 2015, summer in LA, Kenneth Peavy, aka KP, from the Rolling 100 Crips, who was 27 years old at the time, was shot and killed on 109th Street in the Westmont district. LA Sheriff's Department deputies went to the scene after receiving a call about shots fired. When they arrived, they found KP in her front yard of a house with a gunshot wound in the upper torso. He is pronounced dead at the scene at 7:34 in the morning. KP was an active member and was often dissing other sets. With him being active, this caused him to be hated by many rival gangs. It is even video of him and other Rolling Crips catching a rival on his Instagram and beating his ass. So you know killing him would be like a trophy to his rivals. KP was well loved all out through the hundreds, not for just being a gangbanger, but known for being a good dude in his community and father. Killing KP intensified this already intense war, and his shooting was captured on tape.
And it could help to identify one of the shooters in an especially brutal, unsolved murder. These photographs of Kenneth Peavy are all we have to show you of him in the prime of his life. He was murdered on 109th Street east of Hobart Avenue in South Los Angeles. Kenneth and a friend stopped here to make plans to meet someone inside shooting at Kenneth Peavy.
He comes into view and then out of view of the camera right here. And then following him, we see the first suspect, gun in hand.
I can't show the full video with these YouTube guidelines, but the video's out there on YouTube if you want to see it. Two men hawked him down and finished him off. Now you know this will intensify the war like I already said, but his death led to what later became 100 days, 100 nights.
Police driving right by as we're speaking here, what are they doing?
Well, the police are here to monitor a funeral for a guy named KP who was murdered maybe about 2 weeks ago.
That shooting is said to have sparked a grisly challenge online between two rival gangs, a race to kill 100 people in the next 100 days.
And they put that out over Facebook, Instagram, they tweeted it, and before you know it, it went viral.
100 Days, 100 Nights became a viral hashtag that went all over social media, describing the beef between gangs in LA and what gang could reach the most killings in that time period. This will make a big rise in crime in South Central between gangs, contributing to many gang members getting shot or dying, and a lot of innocent bystanders getting shot as well. Over a week period, 12 people were shot, including a woman and her two sons who were 4 and 11. With the Hoovers being a hated gang, their area was being shot up a lot. A man was shot on 81st and Hoover, and another man was shot on 75th and Fig. But many other areas was being shot up as well, outside of the hundreds of Hoover Street, like the 40s and the 60s. In the same time period of July of 2015, even the Main Street Crips lost a legendary figure in their hood, Del Dog, who was shot and killed, so the streets was on fire. It was being said it was over 27 different shootings in that time period. This time period was a bad time to be on the streets, with social media hyping it up, making things blow up worse. Many people died, and many people were shot. In 2016, police made 38 arrests, stating that they were involved in the shootings and the killings going on in the 100 days, 100 nights time period. The 38 individuals were from over 3 different gangs, so this took many gang members off the streets. Even though all these men were put away, the streets never end. But you could say the same thing about the Rolling Hundreds and the Hoovers beef. Too many people lost their lives on both sides, so this war will probably never end. This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, check out my previous episodes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.